Currently, I project that Republicans will take around 52 to 53 seats in the United States Senate elections coming up in around 68 to 67 days. And I predict Democrats will get around 47 to 48 seats. However, it is important that we also take into consideration the polls that have been released in the past few months that are predicting, but are not everything, to the Senate elections. I do not believe the polls will be everything and will be the deciding factor, but it's also important to take a consideration of these polls released. And in today's video, we're going to be filling out this Senate map based off of the polls in every single state. And let's get started from west to east right away with the state of Washington. Now, Washington is a Democrat-held seat and is projected to be pretty safe in the Democrat column. However, due to the lack of recent polling, there was only one poll released in the past year. And due to the fact that there is not much polling at all, we could only really go off this latest one. This one was released actually last year, so we can't really use that. The latest one by that same pollster only has Democrats up by 9 percentage points. We will be placing this in the likely column. However, I do expect to go in the safe column, but due to the lack of polling, we cannot really do that. In the state of California, where we do have a little bit more data, we see here Schiff. This is an open seat. Schiff and Garvey are facing off against each other. Schiff is up by 25 percentage points, which is in that very, very safe column. In the state of Hawaii, there is not much polling. However, there's not much polling at all. However, the past results can entail that the Democrats will win by a safe margin. So this will be going into that safe margin for them. Moving on to the state of Nevada, a state that Trump is performing well in the presidential race, but Rosen is performing very well in that Senate race. Brown is only at 40%. She's actually hit 50%. She's up by 10.1%, which is very, very impressive. I do not think at all that she will win by 10.1%, given by the fact that Trump is up in the presidential vote in those polls. But however, she is up quite a considerable amount. We will be putting Nevada in that likely column for the Democrat Jackie Rosen, who is also an incumbent. Now in this open seat, Lake versus Gallego, another state where Trump is doing fairly well in the presidential polling, but Lake is doing fairly poorly. Gallego is at 50% as well. He is up by 8.1%, and that will fall into the likely margin. And it is going to be a very, very constant theme in this Senate map, where we do see Republican senators vastly underperforming Donald Trump's margins in these polls. And it's mostly for new senators. The incumbents are doing a lot better. We have these seats when Republicans are running a candidate that is not an incumbent, they're performing a lot worse than Donald Trump is. Either way, we're going to move now to the state of Utah. Not much polling at all. We can see here it is an open seat, but the Republicans will win it fairly easily. Same thing for the states of Wyoming, North Dakota, both of Nebraska's Senate seats. But let's go back now to the state of Montana, where we do have a Democrat incumbent in John Tester facing off against a very, very popular and very well-known, as of recently, opponent. We have Sheehy, and he is actually leading now by 5 percentage points. Most of the polls, in fact, all of them in the aggregate right now, excluding the ones that have been taken out, which, were a long time ago, do have him leading by 5 percentage points. I think, this is fairly accurate to say that since Donald Trump will most likely win Montana by up to 5 percentage points, we could expect Sheehy to not perform as well since he is facing off against a Democrat incumbent. But Tester will not be able to overcome such a huge margin on the presidential level. Moving on now to the state of New Mexico, where we have a fairly popular Democrat incumbent in Heinrich facing off against Domenici, and he is down right now by 9.5 percentage points. Heinrich, I expect to also win in this margin, and he will be winning by a likely margin according to the polls. Moving now to Texas, which is going to be more competitive in the Senate election rather than in the presidential race. However, I do expect both to go in Republicans' columns fairly easily. He is up right now by 7.2 percentage points. All right is not even at 40%. That entails that he will win the state by a likely margin. He had won in 2018 against Beto O'Rourke by, I think, under 2 percentage points. So this is definitely an improvement from him, and we can see that Donald Trump is definitely going to have a positive impact on his race. We have the state of Minnesota, where Klobuchar will win fairly easily. We have her here, and the polls have her winning by a safe margin. We will be putting this in the safe margin for her. She will outrun Harris by a vast amount. In the state of Missouri, we have Senator Hawley facing off against Kuntz. Not really well known. The polls right now do have him at winning by just over a safe margin. We will be putting this state into the safe margin. Let's fill out a few more states that will be safe. The states of Indiana, Tennessee, and Mississippi will be going into that safe column, as well as the state of West Virginia. This will be a flip into the Republican column, and the governor of West Virginia is running for that Senate race. He will win by pretty vast margins. I'd say even up to 30 percentage points. Donald Trump will also win this state by up to 40 percentage points, so this seat will not be contested. Republicans already have two flips, the states of West Virginia and Montana, on this map, and if Donald Trump wins, they will have officially have retaken the Senate, and if not, they would with the state of Florida, which also is favored to go for Republican Scott by 5.7 percentage points. This will be a closer race than presidential level race, but still, he is projected to win the state by a lean margin. Let's go now up to the Rust Belt, to the important state of Wisconsin, which over here on the Senate map is looking pretty good for Baldwin. She is an incumbent. She is at 50%. I do expect her to win the race by a lot narrower than what it seems. Wisconsin is one of those states where Republicans are always underestimated, especially Donald Trump, but I do expect her to win this nonetheless. And the state of Michigan, we have a similar story. This is an open seat, however, and this will be a closer race. Rogers versus Slotkin. I think Slotkin does have the upper edge. The polls do indicate that, and the polls right now do show her winning by a lean margin. We go now to one of the most important seats. We have the state of Ohio. But before we get to the state of Ohio, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment down all your sections in the section below, and please check out my other content. Thank you guys for watching. And let's go now to the state of Ohio, where we see also a very competitive race. We have Sherrod Brown, another incumbent Democrat senator in a pretty reliably Republican state. I do expect Donald Trump to win this state by, even a safe margin. We have Moreno, which is the Republican Senate candidate, who right now is losing to Brown by 5 percentage points. He has not even led a single poll. I think this is one of the only states where the polls will underestimate the Republican to the extent where the Republican will come out on top. I do think that Moreno will come out on top at the end of the day, but the polls do show this being a likely race. And since this is a video about solely the polls, this will be going down as a lean Democrat state. Similar story with the state of Pennsylvania. We have a popular incumbent in Bob Casey going up against his challenger, Republican McCormick, and he is up also by 6.5 percentage points. We will be putting this state in the lean column. A very common theme, once again, we see here the Republican candidates for the Senate are doing a lot worse than Donald Trump is against Kamala Harris. Going now to the state of Virginia, it does seem pretty close in the presidential race, where Kamala Harris is only leading by around 3 percentage points. But in the Senate race, Kane is doing fairly well. He's actually up by a safe margin. I do not think it'll be this margin, but the polls do indicate a safe margin as of now. So it will be going up in that column. The state of Maryland, we're used to putting that in the safe Democrat column. Since popular prior Republican governor Hogan is running for the Senate seat, he is making it a tighter race against Alsobrooks. He is down by 6 percentage points. He was actually tied in the previous poll, but all the polls combined together would put him losing in that lean column. Now we're going to have some safe Democrat states, the states of Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine will all be going to that safe column. Vermont and Maine are independent senators that do caucus with Democrats, so they will be going under that Democratic category. We have the state of New Jersey, where it is expected to be closer than usual. We're going to have a three-way race, and I'm pretty sure Menendez did actually drop out. He's a very, very unpopular incumbent Democrat senator, and he is going to be replaced with Kim if he ends up winning, which he is right now by a 6-point margin in the latest poll. I think he'll win by more, but since we do not have any updates right now, this will also be going into that lean column. Our final state will be the state of New York. Well, we have only one poll. Democrat is up by a safe margin, so this will be going into that safe column. And this is going to be our final map for today's video on the Senate map based off of polling. We have Republicans at 51, Democrats at 49. I do only really disagree with 1 or 2 states. The states of Ohio and Nevada are the only states that I really disagree with. And of course, I do disagree with some of these margins, especially in the southwest corner of the United States. However, we see here Republicans will take back the Senate, and I do think they will take it back. I think they have over an 80% chance to take it back because they have a very, very favorable map, and a lot of these flips are going to be automatic. The state of West Virginia will flip no matter what, and that already would probably give them that Senate. And then the state of Montana, very favored to go for Republicans, and they do lead in the polls outside of the margin of error. But either way, this is going to be today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel and check out my content. Put all your comments and suggestions in the section below, and I'll catch you guys out in the next one.